Oh, I forgot my phone. Good.
We'll get started shortly. One more council member. All right, good evening, everyone. We're going to get started. At this point, clerk, can you please call the roll?
Good evening, Alderman Santee,
Here.
Alderman Glad, Alderman Schaefer,
Here.
Alderman Harding,
Here.
Alderman Mahivic,
Here.
Alderman Devine,
Here.
Alderwoman Miller,
Here.
Mayor Jett.
Here, please stand for the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, welcome everyone to the February 1st City Council meeting via Zoom. We're going to go ahead and get started with public comment. The public comment portion of this meeting is for those that would like to make a public comment on items that are not on the agenda. So is there anyone in the public that would like to make a public comment at this time? If so, please unmute yourself. Once again, public comment.
Great job on the roads.
Thank you. Troy, nice work to you and your
Way to
guys.
go, Troy.
I agree.
All right, moving on to consent agenda 5A, 5B. Is there any council members wanting to pull an item for separate consideration? I see none. I'm looking for a motion to approve 5A and B as presented. Alderman Santee,
I will make that motion as presented.
thank you. Second, Alderwoman Miller,
I'll make that second.
thank you. Discussion on these items? Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderman Santee,
Yes.
Alderwoman Miller,
Yes.
Alderman Devine,
Yes.
Alderman Mahivic,
Yes.
Alderman Harding,
Yes.
Alderman Schaefer,
Yes.
Thank you. Do you see Andy on here yet? All right. All right, we're going to move on to 6A. Individual action items is a discussion to approve a Class A liquor license to Gambler LLC located at 1232 North Green Street, conditioned upon satisfactory completion of a background check. I'll open it up for discussion by council. The applicants are here this evening via Zoom, so if you have any questions, they are here to answer those for you. Alderman Santee.
No, I understand they're doing some rehab and remodeling there. Is there any idea from the petitioners of when? Is there a tentative opening date that they know of, or how long it'll take to complete their build out?
We're gonna try like the first week in March. Back open.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions by council regarding 6A? Moving on to public, is there any public input regarding item 6A as presented? All right, this time I'm looking for a motion to approve 6A as presented. Alderman Schaefer.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you. Second, Alderman Santee.
I will second it.
All right, hold on one second. I got a call from Andy. Hold on one second.
I knew he wasn't going to miss. He never misses.
Oh, no.
I think he's 100%.
I think only one time.
Yeah,
Remember,
really?
we had him on speaker because he wasn't feeling well. It was actually,
Oh.
yeah.
I mean, that's a lot of years. You're killing us, Mayor.
He's actually on the phone with Andy. Andy's
All
having
right.
trouble
Yeah,
connecting.
connecting, right?
We're good now. So Andy should be getting on here any second. I'll go ahead and give him the opportunity to give his input. I already told him we got a motion in a second already, so.
Operator error.
That counts, right, David?
It does.
Counts as an absence,
Yes.
Correct.
highly noted.
hmm I've been there and done that.
Do you see him on here?
It's not on yet. He could call in too on his, just a phone and not have a video. Sometimes that works better.
All right, we're just gonna move on. All right, so discussion on this item by council.
I just have one quick question.
Go ahead.
For both this and the next item, there's just, there's only one person's name for the license for both the liquor license and the gaming. That's how it's gonna be listed.
Yes.
Okay, just checking. Thank you.
All right, Alderman Glab, you on? All right. Any other comments by council? Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderman Schaefer,
Yes,
Alderman Santee,
Yes.
Alderman Harding,
Yes.
Alderman Mahavik,
Yes.
Alderman Devine,
Yes.
Alderwoman Miller.
Yes.
Thank you, council. Next item on the agenda is 6B is to the discussion to approval of the previous agenda item, a motion to approve or deny a video gaming license to Gambler LLC located at 1232 North Green Street, subject to the execution of a video gaming development agreement.
Excuse me, I was here for that last vote. I was on mute, but I was here, so I'd like to cast my vote on the last, on 6A. As a
Okay,
yes,
go ahead. Yep,
As
go
a-
ahead.
as a yes.
Sorry,
you.
Alderman Glad.
That's okay. Kind of a confusion there, but we got it.
All right, moving on to this 6B, discussion by council.
I just wanted to state that pretty much it's not extending video gaming other than just replacing what was there at that establishment already. So I have no problems with it.
Thank you. Any others have any comments, questions? Moving on to public input. Is there anyone in the public that'd like to make a public comment regarding this item, 6B? See none, I'm looking for a motion and a second for 6B as presented to
To approve, yeah.
Alderman Santee.
I'll make the motion for item 6B as presented.
Thank you.
That's to approve, correct?
To approve.
Thank you. Second, Alderman Harding.
I'll make a second.
Thank you. Discussion by council on this item? Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderman Santee,
Yes.
Alderman Harding,
Yes.
Alderman Mahavik,
Yes.
Alderman Devine,
Yes.
Alderwoman Miller,
Yes.
Alderman Schaefer,
Yes.
Alderman Glad.
Yes.
Thank you, council. Congratulations, you guys, and good luck and get her open.
Thank you.
All right, next item on the agenda is discussion to authorize the execution of the attached professional services contract between the City of McHenry and Christopher B. Burke Engineering LTD for professional landscape architecture, planning services for downtown streetscape master framing plan in the amount of $149,900. Discussion by council. See none?
Hey, Mayor,
Yes.
can I,
You're not presenting?
yeah, can we,
Oh, sorry. Yeah, go ahead.
sorry.
I'm gonna go ahead and
I'm
present the item.
I'm actually going to send this one over to Cody for the summary, but I want to let the council know that this has been a collaborative effort between all of the departments, Derek, Troy, Bill, Doug. You know, we've all had a role in this. So, you know, if there's any active discussion, any one of us can probably answer some of those questions. So, Cody, you want to go ahead and present?
Yeah, sure. So thanks, Ross. So really what we're looking at tonight is just, approving the professional contract between the City of McHenry and Christopher Burke Engineering. Christopher Burke, I believe John Hines and maybe Brian Luke are here tonight. So they'd be happy to also answer any questions you may have. This process is likely to change a little bit in terms of, design elements, very specific details. That will all be hammered out kind of during the whole public engagement process and public engagement strategy as we move forward. We're going to have select steering committees kind of formed or commissions to kind of take a look and provide input and feedback as they work to develop the master plan. We're pretty much hoping it's scheduled to by August to basically complete the master plan, have something that the city can use essentially to hopefully guide a uniform and unique development of the downtown. As kind of noted that in the staff report, 75% of the project is within the TIP district. So we're requesting that 75% of the project be funded by TIF dollars, and then the remaining would be funded by the general fund. Other than that, myself and John Hines with Christopher Burke is also here to answer any questions.
Thank you, Cody. Sorry about the mix-up.
That's okay.
Too quickly, so I apologize. Is there any council members that would like to start off the discussion regarding this item? Moving on to public input. Is there anyone in the public that would like to make a public comment regarding this item? 6C. All right. Moving on for a motion and a second for 6C as presented. Alderman Schaefer.
Yes, I'll make that motion.
Second. Alderman Miller.
I'll second that motion.
Thank you. Discussion by council? Alderman Santee?
Just a quick statement. It's great that we have this master plan set up, and just a note in regards to the 112,000 invested through the TIF district. There is funding now in the TIF district. It's been growing finally in the last couple of years, and it's good that we're able to reinvest those dollars. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments by council? See none, clerk, please call the roll.
Alderman Schaefer,
Yes.
Alderwoman Miller,
Yes.
Alderman Devine,
Yes.
Alderman Mahavik,
Yes.
Alderman Harding,
Yes.
Alderman Glad,
Yes.
Alderman Santee.
Yes.
Thank you, council. Moving on to the next agenda item is discussion to authorize public bidding of the 2021 supplemental road resurfacing program. Director Strange, can you please present this item?
Thank you, Mayor Jett. So this is a project that was presented at the Public Works Committee just a few weeks ago on January 11th. It's a little bit of a new concept this year in that we're shifting some operating personnel costs into what are now, well, really capital costs. And we are presenting it for your approval for authorization bid because it is a new concept. And we are planning on bidding this prior to the approval of the budget and then awarding it and executing it upon approval of the budget after May 1. So, and then in addition to that, because of discussion at the Public Works Committee meeting, myself and Bill Hobson have discussed a contribution from Parks developer donations as participation for the Parks side of the project. So what this project is, it's resurfacing of all the roads around Veterans Park, parking stalls and sidewalk and concrete improvements. So it's a little bit of public right-of-ways and city parks, and that's why the cost sharing is presented as such. So I'm here to answer any questions, and we seek your approval and authorization of it.
Thank you, Troy. Appreciate it. Open it up for discussion by council. Alderman Glad.
Yeah, I voted against this at the committee level, and one of the main reasons is the fact that I felt that the Parks Department should be giving in to this project. You know, you take a look at the surface that we are resurfacing, all that parking around the park would not be there if it hadn't been for the fact that this is the park area. Even though it's part of the right of way, it is parking for the parks. So it's actually like a parking lot for the park itself. And I just felt that that share should be figured out, that it gets paid through developer donation funds of the Parks Department, which I believe at the last meeting we mentioned had close to $1 million or around $1 million in that fund. So it's not like they don't have the money there to be used for that. I mean, I take a look at the 3 streets that we're talking about doing around the park, and I take a look at the street I've talked about for the last couple of years behind West over there at Kensington. That's totally falling apart. We've made 3 huge patches in there in the last couple of years, and yet the rest of the whole street is falling apart, and it's worse than any of these streets that we're going to be doing. And I realize that the park's a highlight area for the city and everything else. It's just the fact that we've got some streets out there that are in deplorable shape. And I had a problem with the fact that if we use more developer donation funds from the Parks Department for some of that paving and the striping and all that, that we would have money to be able to do some of these neighborhood streets.
Thank you, Alderman Glad. Alderman Santee.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm very pleased that Director Hobson was able to step up to the plate with some of the funding here, $50,000. And yes, we need extensive work on neighborhood cities. And I believe in what Troy Strange as a public works director is doing in regards to having all that funding that we're looking at spending in the next 2 or 3 years on streets that will start to really make a little bit of headway into those local neighborhood streets, because it needs to be done. It definitely needs to be done. We're catching up. We're behind the 8 ball for a long time there. So we are working down that avenue also. And the other thing is that, yes, it's around the park. It's a park that's used every weekend, and it's used for a lot of local private events. The parking is being used now that we have some more businesses around that park on nights when they're not having any events. So I like what's done with this project, and I'm happy to and very comfortable to look forward to moving forward on this resurfacing program. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman Santee. Alderman Schaefer.
I agree to the fact that this is more than just parking. This has tremendously grown into business parking for that area and will continue to be used as public parking. I look at it as more as that than just a parking lot. So I do agree with having some money come from the Parks Department and the donation fees, but or donation fund, but I think it's adequate where it's at.
Thank you. Alderman Gleb.
Yeah, Troy, how much are we talking about just for the sidewalks?
50,000. We assess the total cost for what's in the sidewalks versus what we typically spend for a similar length of roadway, and approximated at $50,000. We felt that was representative of the park's participation and benefit in the project.
So we're doing all the sidewalk on all 3 sides, correct?
Yes.
And we're talking at what cost?
Total sidewalk costs are, I believe,
like $90,000 for everything.
That's about right. Yep.
Yeah. So I mean, we're paying $50,000, but we don't really have a sidewalk program in the city of McHenry. I mean, if a resident calls and has a tripping problem, we don't replace a piece of concrete. We take and we saw cut it to level it off. I mean, we've tried to be fiscally responsible that way, and here yet we're going to tear up all this sidewalk and have all brand new sidewalks around the park. When a lot of that, I've seen a couple pieces here and there that are tripping hazards that can be fixed. I've seen a lot of it to where, or a couple here and there that need to be replaced because they're totally cracked. But to replace all of that sidewalk, it just, to me, it's a lot of dollars that if it's going to be spent, it should be spent out of public works. Again, I just also, when we're talking about the funding, and I will go back to my 2 fellow aldermen, that the comments they made about the parking for the businesses, is this not part of the TIF district?
The 3 sides we're working on, I don't know if they are.
They are not.
That park is not in the TIF district.
It is not in the park district, or I'm sorry, the TIF district. Okay. I mean, so we're saying that this parking is great for business, but I don't know. I just, again, find it very disappointing that, again, the neighborhoods around the town, and yes, we're catching up. Well, we're not really catching up much. We're slowly getting away from dwindling as far as getting behind the 8 ball on our streets. We're still not there. We're still going to wind up losing more streets every year than what we're fixing up. Is it better than what it was 2 years ago, or better than it was 5 years ago? Yes. But is it where we need to be? Absolutely not. And this is going to be a reoccurring problem every year. That's all I got.
Thank you. Any other council members have any input, questions, comments? I'm going to open up for public input. Is there anyone in the public that would like to make a public comment regarding this item? Moving on to, what is it, 6E? Looking for a motion and a second as presented. Alderman Santee?
I will make the motion to approve the 2021 supplemental road resurfacing program as presented.
And that was 6D, not, I said E.
I'm sorry, 6D.
All right. Second, Alderman Schaefer?
I'll second that motion.
Thank you. Discussion by council? Alderman Santee.
Yes, there's definitely concerns here. And yes, we are behind the 8 ball on the neighborhood streets, but we're definitely very behind. And I think the aggressive program that we are putting together with the Public Works Department and starting this year, and even a little bit last year, is that, are we going to catch up? I don't think we'll catch up in 20 years, but at least we're going in the right direction, and we are reinvesting a lot of dollars, close to $2 million a year in regards to our local streets, because they do need to be taken care of, because that's the first road that our citizens / constituents get on as they head to work, head to businesses, head to shopping. And it's definitely a key focus for the Public Works Committee. Thank you.
Alderman Schaefer?
Again, I agree. We could debate roads all night long, probably for multiple hours, but the breakdown of spending, if you look at it, I think over the last at least 5 years, maybe even longer, there has not, I've had this discussion with Troy and also with Greg, there has not been a lot of spending on roads in this area of town. So it's nice that the Public Works Committee was able to come up with a plan, and the city staff was able to come up with a plan to address some of it. But again, if we're going to debate areas of town that should be done before others, that could go on all night. And I think when you look at something that's as a pinnacle of a spot as this particular one we're discussing right here and nothing else, it demands that attention. I don't think there's any way around that.
Thank you. Any other comments by council? Alderman Miller.
I think the only other point that I'd like to make is that this area, to Alderman Schaefer's point, we've hodgepodged it 100 times. We worked on Riverside Drive, we worked on Green Street, we worked on Pearl Street, we had the bridge repair, we've done the corners, but we've never finished it. It's always been a little bit here, a little bit there, a little bit there. This really wraps it all together, finishes the park. We've done the bathrooms, we've done the building, we've done the gazebo, we've done the sidewalks. Let's tidy it up, finish it up, wrap it up, tidy up with a bow, and it's done. And it's really the highlight of downtown. So I'm really all for it. And I appreciate that all departments have been all hands in on both of these projects, the landscape project and this project, to say, let's just get it done. Let's really just put it to bed and make it pretty. I get it, and I'm all behind. Let's spend a lot of money and get our roads up to speed, because I was the one that was aghast when I saw that report. But this needs to be finished up, and let's just get her done and get her over with. So I stand behind the request and the motion.
Thank you. Any other? Alderman Glad.
Yeah, all I'm getting at is it's not just whether or not these streets need it, but there are a lot of other streets that need it. And if we've got funding that we can use somewhere else for part of this project, then for the park, then that's where I think it needs to be used. And that way we can expand on how much roads we do. And as far as the comment about how, gee, we're going to be spending $2 million a year. If you remember the report about 8 or 9, 10 months ago, whatever it was, $2.2 million a year if the city of McHenry spends in 10 years, our roads are right back to where they're at right now. So we need to be spending $3.5, $4 million, and we need to find that revenue. But we also need to take a look and see where we can take every dime we can for the road projects to get the job done.
Agreed. All right. Is that it for council comments? Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderman Santee,
Yes.
Alderman Schaefer,
Yes.
Alderman Glad,
No.
Alderman Harding,
Yes.
Alderman Mahavik,
Yes.
Alderman Devine,
Yes.
Alderwoman Miller.
Yes.
Thank you, council. Next item on the agenda is 6E, is a discussion to authorize the Director of Parks and Recreation with the advice and consent of the mayor and the chief of police, and in accordance with the Restore Illinois Plan, enact any and all identified elements of the Shamrocks to Fox event, including applicable street closures, special civic event alcohol endorsements, special event liquor license, open carry of alcohol in the public way, and temporary use permit for an event tent, and an approval of a budget amendment in the 2021 fiscal year tourism fund in the amount not to exceed $10,000 for the event. I'll go ahead and open up for discussion by council on this item. Once again, 6E. No comments by council at this point? Oh, Alderman Glad, go ahead.
Yeah, it's a great celebration that we've had over the last several years. Unfortunately, with COVID and everything else, it does make me a little reluctant as far as the open carry. And more than anything else is when we had the outside serving only, and during the summer, you took a look at and you saw people that, yes, you were not allowed or required to have your masks on at the table while you were eating, but you had people conjure all around from table to table, friends and whatnot, without any masks. And it kind of negated what the state was trying to do, or actually the whole country, as far as wearing masks and deterring the spread of the COVID. And I just tend to wonder if we have the open and carry, then everybody's going to be walking around without a mask, and there's not going to be no 6 foot spacing between people. We know that. Those that might care to wear a mask, and maybe even some that would wear a mask, except if they're out there drinking, needless to say, they're not going to be sipping it through a straw. So I wonder if we should just take the open carry away on this. I know it would kind of change it dramatically, but again, I don't know. And I guess another question is we're approving this tonight because of the level tier that we are right now with the state. And if that tier changes, to what level before we would shut this down? I think we're at what, a tier 2 net right now?
No, we're in tier 1 when we're on the verge of moving to phase 4.
That's correct. Should be next.
Okay, so I mean, we're heading in the right direction, supposedly, correct? But
yes, sir.
If there was a dramatic change, what would happen with this?
If there was any dramatic change, it wouldn't happen. I can safely say that. A month ago, I wouldn't have considered bringing this to you. The way the rates were at that point, the way that we've seen things going at this point, I think that there's certainly some aspects or some variations of this event that I feel like that we could pull off. However, that could change tomorrow. Those rates could spike, and then the event is canceled, like we were last year. But in order to make any preparations to have any aspects of it, we felt like that we needed to at least put some variations together that we could put in front of you to at least present and see what your comfort level is, knowing that it could change. The fluidity of this situation certainly has been, the unpredictability has been the only predictable thing about it. And so, to your point, it could all be canceled. We could make all our plans, and it could be canceled that first week of March.
But what level do we wind up going to that would give us to the idea that we'd even consider canceling this?
Or even moving,
If we decrease to tier 2,
yeah, even moving
go ahead.
back to the tier we're in now would cancel it.
Yeah.
Tier 1.
Okay. So you guys will be watching. And again, it's not that, I'm against it or anything else, other than the fact that I just want to be on the safe side, and I want to make sure that we do whatever the state feels that we need to do to curtail the COVID spread. And if we're heading in the right direction and we don't seem to be having too much of a problem, that's great. Thank you.
And that's what we're pretty much asking for at this point, and obviously we've done everything with the CDC guidelines and followed those for the last year. But that's why we wanted to bring forward to be able to move forward if we can, and hopefully that is the case. So,
okay.
Alderman Santi?
Thank you.
Alderman Santi?
Thank you. Yeah, I like where we are as a community, and the correct direction that we're moving in now, a positive direction, and hopefully it'll continue. But I can understand everyone's concern that we could be pulled back at a moment's notice, depending on what happens to our region and depending on what happens with the state. That being said, it's definitely an excellent program in regards to the participation and the influx of people, which, this year is definitely, let's hope it's a positive. It could be possibly a negative because there will be a lot of outsiders visiting our community that weekend. I'd like, and I had a great conversation with Director Hobson about this earlier, and I appreciate his time. The one thing I'd like to request for myself, and if you can send it to all the aldermen, I just would like a list of the participants in the parade, the organizations. I'd appreciate that. Thank you.
Alderman Santi, just to clarify, you would like all entries, not just the organizations, the service clubs, things like that. You want all entries.
Well, yeah.
From last year, we were ready to go, and I think there was about 50. I think we had limited at 50. Okay. So I can send that up. You want everybody that was in it last year, correct?
Yeah. Yes. The group of 50, just the names of the organizations.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Any other council comments regarding this item? See none. I'm going to open up for public input. Is there anyone from the public that would like to make a public comment regarding this item? All right. Going back to council, looking for a motion and a second for 6E as in Eric, as presented. Alderman Schaefer.
I'll make that motion as presented.
Thank you. Second, Alderman Harding.
I'll second that motion.
Thank you. Discussion by council. Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderman Schaefer,
Yes.
Alderman Harding,
Yes.
Alderman Mahevic,
Yes.
Alderman Devine.
Yes.
Alderwoman Miller,
Yes.
Alderman Glad,
Yes.
Alderman Santi.
Yes.
Thank you, council. Next item on the agenda is a discussion item. 7A is Blake Farms Authentics Multifamily Residential Project. I'll go ahead and turn this over to Ross and have him present this discussion.
Thanks, Mayor. I'm going to boot this one to Cody again because he's been so diligently working with these individuals. Ben Lang is on the line. He represents Continental Homes. Cody, go ahead and.
Yeah, sure. So the petitioner is Continental Properties, of the contract purchaser for the site along Blake Boulevard. They're requesting a preliminary feedback from City Council for conceptual apartment development prior to submitting a formal application. The proposed development consists of 12 buildings with 24 units in each building for a combined total of 288 dwelling units. The development also includes a private recreation center, outdoor swimming pool, outdoor multi-use recreational path, and dog park. The petitioner is also requesting approval of reduced capital impact fees. This review process has really gone on for about 6 months now between staff, between myself, economic development, community development, and of course, Public Works Department of really negotiating different aspects of the project. But really tonight, we feel very comfortable with presenting this project before you. There are 3 aspects I've outlined in the staff report that I'm hoping to that we need feedback from City Council for. One is just the planning, zoning, and land use, whether or not you believe that this is a good fit. This is an appropriate site for the proposed use. The second part, of course, is the private drive connection between Blake and Almond Lane. Currently, there's no requirement by ordinance that there be a connection in place. I mean, typically, you're not going to want to have a local subdivision road feed directly into a multi-family, private drive than into a commercial collector, right? There's kind of different desired levels of service. Typically, you feed your local roads and streets into a collector, especially with many different uses. So really, we need feedback tonight from City Council of what the desired level of service there, whether it even be any connection at all. And just an important thing worth noting is that if the project is received favorably tonight by City Council, I'll be working with petitioners to do some town hall meetings via Zoom. We'll be reaching out to the local subdivision to, in fact, which might be a more appropriate avenue, is what level of service do they want to see? Do they want a connection there from Almond to Blake Boulevard? And then lastly is the sewer and water impact fee reduction. Staff has been going back and forth, has had HR Green review the proposed fees and the proposed development on our water and sanitary sewer system. Greg has outlined several, our staff engineer has outlined several items that kind of go over just as a summary that, staff is not opposed to the reduction so long as they pay their fair share. And based on the information that's provided, which staff will verify prior to a final submittal, that their water usage rates at the proposed fees are appropriate for that. That being said, that's really the only reduction is the water and sanitary sewer. That being said, I'll turn this over to Ben Lang and his associates to kind of give us a presentation here tonight. So Ben, take it away.
If I can interrupt first, this is Joe.
Oh, Joe, go for it.
Yeah, we have 4 people. First off, thank you, council and mayor, for giving us an opportunity to do this. We have 4 people that are actually with us tonight: Eric Thon, Ben Lang, Bob McKeag, and Brian Rieger, that can answer different parts. And Ben will take care of most of it. I just really wanted to introduce him to say, this is really the first time in a generation that there's been a proposal of this size to bring really an apartment complex into the town of McHenry. It has been, years. When I said generation, I think it might be a generation and a half. I just worked with them at Crystal Lake, and they're under construction there now on a similar type of project. And they've been excellent to work with down here. And so I wanted that opportunity. And with that, I'll give you back to Ben, and I'm here to answer any questions that I can answer along the way too. Thank you.
Ben Lang, floor is yours.
Joe. And also want to thank Cody and all of staff for working with us so diligently so far. They've been very helpful along the way. And thank you all for taking time tonight to hear our concept for Authentics McHenry. So Continental Properties, we are a national multifamily developer. We have a very strong presence in the Illinois market. This project would actually be our 10th community planned in the Illinois area, with a very strong sort of presence along the 31 Randall Road corridor. We chose McHenry really because of the current state of the municipality and the market, kind of a low multifamily supply, strong employment rates, and a need for increased population in the area to support the local retailers created a really strong opportunity for an Authentics product here. As Cody mentioned, we feel the land use works really well here, specifically aligning with the comprehensive plan's intent for multifamily development to be located near strong service and employment corridors. We'll be pursuing an integrated design district for this project. This allows us a level of flexibility in the layout and the design of the community that allows a strong sense of connectivity and community and a nice community scale that works well with the surrounding context. The rendering at the bottom of the screen here is an example of a project we're currently constructing in Michigan. So here's our site plan. As Cody mentioned, we're proposing 288 units ranging from studios to 3 bedrooms in sort of a 10%, 40, 40, 10% mix. As you can see here, we have our shared recreation space that Cody outlined at the front of the community, multi-use trail wrapping around the pond, and that connection that we've been working with staff to determine and define to Almond Lane off to the side here. We can dive into further detail towards the end of the presentation here. Our clubhouse area at the front is home to our on-site property management team, which we tout strongly. They do a great job and receive great reviews. They've actually been voted on a few of our communities as the top 1% in property management in the nation just this past year. Here are a couple of sample elevations of the buildings we're proposing. As you can see here, there's quite a good amount of articulation. You're gonna have direct access to first floor units. Second floor units will have shared stairwells going up to them, and they'll be secured and with privacy and controlled access via like a buzzer type system. Moving into the interior, as you can see here, an example of our efficiency unit. All of our units provide a open concept, modern type layout with high-end finishes. So the question for us is, how do we make this work in McHenry? One way, one thing that we determined we need to work on with staff and council is a reduction in the water and sewer fees. We studied our portfolio averages and noticed that our actual usage is far below what the city's studies from Baxter Woodman were projecting a multifamily community of this size would use. In addition, the parks and open space, we understand that there's a need for parks and open space for residential development, but the current ordinance would require us to donate an equivalent of 40% of the land that would be required to develop our community. We are instead proposing to provide open space amenities such as the clubhouse and the pool area in order to offset the demand of our community on the Parks and Recreation Department. And we can go into this and the water and sewer fees in further detail at the end of the presentation. And at that, I'd like to open it up to council, staff for any questions. I know we have quite a bit of detail in here and in our narrative, so we'd like to give you guys the opportunity to voice your questions, concerns.
Thank you, Ben. I'll go ahead and open this up for council. This item is for discussion only by council this evening. We want this project to go through the normal process, but we do want the council to give some input on regarding this project. So go ahead and open it up for council to give any input, any questions, comments. Alderwoman Miller, you got something?
Sure. I thank you for recognizing me, even though I wasn't ready. I had an opportunity to meet with Ben Continental last week. Thank you for that opportunity. I felt they were well prepared. They had really pegged the demographics of who their potential tenant and occupants are, and they really understand the makeup of McHenry. So I was very pleased that they've done their research and understand our community, which for an investor to come into town with a project this size is first and foremost important. The units look real good. It looks like from a real estate perspective, something that we need and would certainly be in demand. You know, for just a simple example, I have a 2-bedroom rental up for rent yesterday. I put it in the marketplace Saturday at 2 p.m. in the middle of a snowstorm and had 146 applicants by 4 o'clock yesterday afternoon. So needless to say, the rental market is in high demand and we need a project like this. I like the floor plan. I like the layout. I like everything about this project. The only concern that I had when I spoke with Ben, and Ben, who did I talk to besides you? I forget the other.
Bob McKeag was also on the call.
was on the call. I did express a concern about parking, that they were only offering 45 garages. Again, those were those little spaces over here on the far side. That was really my only concern, is that with 288 homes, assuming 2 humans in a home, assuming at least a car and a half per home, you're, I think, undersized for the number of garages. But again, that's something they can work out with staff. Adequate surface parking, but my own personal belief is that you're undersizing the number of garages, even if they're premium priced. But I think the project is worthy of a good look. I hope they bring it to the city. I think it's a no-brainer win. So thank you, Ben. I look forward to seeing it.
Thank you, Sue.
Thank you, Sue. Any other council members have any questions, comments? Alderman Glenn?
Yeah, I want to comment about the reduction in fees to start. Number one, you done your homework on the use of the water and everything else. However, the city took years back and we invested a lot of money into infrastructure as far as bringing sewer lines out that way for development of not just along the corridor of Richmond Road, but also those other properties such as the Blake Farm for single family homes. And here you are requesting to impact us with multifamily. And that's why our rates are where they were, and reducing them, I wouldn't be in favor one bit. These are our water rates. These are our sewer rates. These are what our impact fees are, and that's what it costs to develop in the city of McHenry. I don't want to be a bargaining chip every time a developer comes to this town. We set our goals and we set our amounts, and that's where we should be. And I can tell you right now, I'm not in favor of a multifamily in this area. I'm not saying that there are other areas. I've always felt that these type of apartment complexes should be off of the main roads. They shouldn't be hidden back there in the back corners and also in an area. I mean, that's an enclosed area when you think about where FAP 420 is. You have the commercial on that side, and then you have county, I believe, on the other side of Riverside, as well as the Hemp Hill subdivision that's to the south. And I just feel that those stubs were put in there with the idea that we would have a continuation of single family subdivisions in that area years back. I know times have changed as far as, we need for all the commercial, or no, I'm sorry, not commercial, but the job market and everything else. And the big job markets that you talk about, most of them are out of town, not in the city of McHenry. You're talking all the way to Carpentersville with auto engineering and whatnot. And there's many communities that have multifamily close to there. Now you talk about how tight the multifamily rental, I'm sorry, not multifamily, but rental business is. And if you went on and looked at what's the subdivision off of McCollum Lake Road there, across from Hillcrest. God, I just looked at it the other day. The Cunett apartments over there. They have 27 openings right now. And another one open up on the 15th of February and one on the 28th of February. So that's like 29 open apartments just in that one complex. So where's the need up in that north end? I don't see it. I just feel that, and I don't think staff could tell us tonight what the percentage of the city is right now on rentals, not just apartments, but rentals of condos and single family homes and everything else in this community. I mean, I don't want this whole community to be nothing but a rental area. And if we're going to allow these type of amenities to come in. I think we need to have them out on our main roads and not further back. Also, you could take a look at everything that they want to develop and the way they want to open it up. And I think of some of the projects over the many years ago that were created. I mean, Hillcrest. Look at Hillcrest as far as those apartments. And now they're a scourge to our community because they impact our community and they don't pay any property tax. Whatever loopholes or what have you, they pay no property taxes to us, to this community. And I think we need to be a lot more careful when we trudge forward with any kind of rental community. Thank you.
Cody, go ahead.
Oh, yeah, just to add one thing, just for council's knowledge, back in December, we did, in anticipation, because we were getting so much, I guess, apartment interest in the city, we commissioned an apartment study. So that should be available within the next 2 weeks to kind of take a look at our rental options in the city of McHenry. And hopefully we're going to try and have them do a presentation to city council on the results of that, that analysis.
Thank you, Cody. All right, Alderman Schaefer.
Thank you, Mayor. I have a couple questions. Do you have a rear view elevation view?
Yeah, just a second. So the top would be the front elevation and the bottom is the rear elevation on both of these here. So it's four-sided architecture. It'll look nice. It'll have the same quality all the way around the building. And we have access to each of the units on the front and the rear side. So it's kind of like the building is split. The rears of the units are actually facing out that direction.
So it looks almost identical from the front and the back?
Yep, they're pretty close.
And there's no balconies or?
Nope, not here.
Or lanais or anything like that?
Nope, just small covered porch spaces on the first floors.
Okay. Second comment, regarding the parks donations, if this is going to be a multi-family, there's going to still be, even with your proposed swimming pool and open space, there's still a huge use for our parks and recreation programs. I think you made a comment about eliminating those fees or reducing those fees because you would lessen the impact. I mean, those families are still going to want to do sports programs. They're still going to want to do, we don't have a parks district. We have a parks department. So I don't think by having a pool, you're going to reduce the impact on our parks and our programs that much. Personally, I don't see that. Maybe Mr. Hobson has something different, but and then the other thing I would definitely want to know is the Almond Road. I can guarantee you there's not going to be anybody over there that would be open to that, because you have this going into a commercial corridor. No matter how you do it, it's still going right into Blake Boulevard, which is one of our busiest commercial corridors, and it's going to turn into another Orleans Street, in my opinion.
We've gone back and forth with having that be an emergency only access, and not allowing any cross access between Almond Lane and our development. The reality is, for life safety, we need some sort of secondary connection other than the front door here, to allow fire and police to get in here if there ever was an emergency. We talked with staff, and we thought it was determined that there might be some desire from these residents to traverse through our development safely to the retail. However, that was the intent with setting up a future neighborhood meeting, a town hall type event, to get their thoughts and concerns and respond accordingly.
Yeah, I would recommend that. And then the other question I had, do you have any developments that are, or projects that are now 10 years or 20 years old?
I think Weber Road is 5 years old. Eric Tome or Bob McKay, you might have to help me out on that one a little bit.
We've got a couple that, this is Bob McKegg speaking. So we've got a couple that would be kind of mid to early 2000s, but specifically this Authentics brand and some of the ones that Ben pointed out earlier are going to be within the last 10 years. I don't believe we've got anything specific to Chicago that's 20 years.
Yeah, if you could share with us something that's in that 10-year range, that I would just like to see that, especially if it's in an area similar to this, or if it's in a corridor similar to this, or even whatever you got, something that's 10 years old, I'd like to look at.
Yeah,
This
I think
to me looks very, it looks, you know, although I see the need, we do have quite a bit of rental in this area already. It's a huge rental area when you look at what's down McCollum Lake Road already, for our city anyway. This look to me gives it a, it's I don't know, I just don't get the homey feel of it. It looks more hotelish almost to me, like a roadside hotel type view venture. But these are just my comments for moving forward. And but I would like to see something that you got out there that's got some age to it.
We can take a look at our portfolio and forward something on to staff that they could share with you guys.
Okay. And then also from a staff point of view, did you guys look at, I mean, I don't think I was trying to figure out if we have anywhere else in town that actually gets to the development of this much density through the main road of a commercial entrance.
Well, just based upon, I could just only speak just, you know, 31 and Blake Boulevard is a commercial collector. You know, 31 is a signalized intersection. You know, that's a ton of capacity as compared to your typical standard normal local road and street. That being said, you know, I think the challenge of staff is really trying to help guide these developers in the appropriate location of the sites that are available in the city of McHenry that are close to are relatively near amenities or commercial corridors, which is, you know, your generally accepted planning practice. You know, this site was one of those sites that was, even though it doesn't show in our future land use map, it is one of the more premier locations where you would ideally put a multi-use or multifamily development in it. So really just that's really the challenge in general. Overall, staff was pretty satisfied and pretty happy with the proposed development. You know, like I said, it's just about 6 months into the making. We were unaware. We were under the assumption that the park fees were going to be paid. So we were unaware of that. So I'm not sure where, I mean, there was some type of miscommunication. Ben, are you asking for a waiver of the park fees?
Yeah, and really coming from the park department was not the 100% intent. It's the total financial value of that waiver that we're searching for. And since it was outlined in our narrative when we submitted, but since we've submitted that, we've taken a look and we can go into that a little bit further at ways to maybe distribute that and still get some of that fee paid to the parks department. But at the end of the day, for us, in order to make this project feasible, it's that overall reduction in cost that would make this possible for us.
So Cody, did I don't know if you really answered it, but do we have a development currently in town where the main entrance is through the commercial, like you said,
commercial
stoplight? Yeah.
Sure. Shamrock Lane, Cody. Shamrock Lane would be
one.
And then, you know, behind Meyer is Evergreen. Now that's not an apartment. most of those I believe are owned and occupied by owners. There are some rentals in there, but those are really the only two developments that I'm aware of that roll through a commercial corridor to get to, and not even so much Evergreen, but Shamrock definitely does.
So I also say that just, looking at other apartments, I mean, like a good comparable example of it's much older development though, the Prairie View Apartments across from the county fairgrounds. It's kind of a similar type development. Really, I guess to your point with regards to how, feeding into a commercial collector, you look at that site, I mean, granted, it does have about, two connections, two different collectors that's feeding into. And granted, this is just, one. They eventually end up feeding through 47 and that kind of commercial corridor there by the Jewel. That's where most people exit out on. Really, the problem with really trying to, build roads for, the stereotypical, the rush hour, it's nearly impossible to meet the demand of the rush hour traffic. But,
my point isn't like the one in Woodstock where it's a separate, like that Prairie View development. You're not going into Prairie View to get to the Kohl's or to get to Aldi or to get to Jewel. In this location, that's the primary thing. Ross, your point about Shamrock is good, but again, there's not businesses there that are getting hundreds of cars in the time frame that it does at this location. That's my point. It's a good idea, but it's nowhere near the volume that Blake Boulevard gets.
And what we can do is, it's going to be required that we complete a traffic analysis for this project if it moves forward. So, I mean, we can commit that when we get that traffic analysis back, we'll take a look at it with staff and respond accordingly.
Thank you. Those are all my comments.
Any other council comments, questions? Alderman Glenn?
Yeah, what percentage masonite or masonry are these buildings?
Right now, we're proposing no masonry on the project.
So you're asking for a variance on our ordinances on that?
Well, it was our understanding that because it's an IDD ordinance, that's not a requirement. That is a requirement of the multifamily ordinance specifically.
Well, this is multifamily.
Which is being proposed with the IDD ordinance due to the nature of the site and not being a single building on a single platted lot. We're proposing all these buildings under one contiguous parcel, which gives, the flexibility for the design consideration and the layout that we're proposing.
And just to kind of confirm what Ben said, technically it's our M2 district that has that 50% brick rule requirement. Because this is IDD. IDD is its own zoning district altogether. So it's whatever zoning rules you want to put into place, you can put into place. Yeah. That's what it's designed for.
Cody, maybe we need to look at that then, because you know what, we want that type of look. That was the intent years ago for the city councils as far as the type of development we want to see in this town. Not framed buildings only. We want to see a certain percentage of mason on the buildings themselves.
And out of curiosity, is that for a qualitative, or is it just brick for the sake of brick? We're trying to find a way to produce a quality architecture without incurring just exorbitant amounts of cost by way of just slapping brick on the side of our building.
Yeah, well, number one, brick is usually a much safer type of materials to be using on a building than just wood. Alderman Harding could probably tell you that, considering his ties to the fire department. But the look also is the fact that we want to see, I don't think from our ordinances that it necessarily has to be solid brick, but I believe it has to be at least a covering as far as mason.
In our RM2 district, it's 50%, but not in an IDD district.
Okay. And again, is that when we started splitting this up more and whatever, that it just never got put into that? I just don't think that we want to see apartments with just framed type buildings. I really don't. And maybe we need to have community development look at that and tighten up our ordinances as well. But yeah, I definitely wouldn't want to see a type of development that looks like that with just frame buildings. Thank you.
Alderman Harding.
Yeah, I talked to Ben and Bob last week, and I thought I liked the idea. I like the project. It's something new in town. I like the design. What I also like to it is it's fully sprinkled. So we've had 2 major fires in Coonant off of Shamrock in the last probably 20 years, and they're unsprinkled buildings. So according with the brick veneer, I don't, to me, that doesn't matter. It doesn't matter to me because it's all brick with Coonant too, and that burned really well. It's just a brick veneer. It's all wood. It burns easy. But the fact that these guys are putting in a sprinkler system makes me feel a lot better for our community, for our residents there. I liked it all, except for, my concern is the traffic too, coming in on Blake and going through Aldi in that area. That's a concern for me too. But other than that, I talked to him for about 45 minutes last week, and I like the project. I'm for it.
And
Alderman Harding, just for curiosity, when were you privy to this coming to council and that you talked to him last week?
When was I?
That you had this discussion with them and everything else on this whole project. I've heard this now from just 2 different older people that that they've had discussions with them.
They were given my number and they called me. That's all I know. I figured.
I'll go ahead and don't, Ryan.
I have no idea. I was asked to talk to him.
Ryan got the call from Ben. I met with Continental several times. I told Ben to reach out to the 2 council members that are in real estate to kind of get some input from them, since being there in the real estate world. So I figured those 2 could give them some input and kind of get the ball rolling as far as the, I wouldn't even say support, but more just giving Ben a little bit of background on what they think for our city and what's needed in our community, even though they've done their research.
Mr. Mayor, if you mind, I'd like to jump in. It's Bob McKay with Continental, one of our real estate development directors. To add, I think one of the things that we're really looking at is the fundamentals of that real estate. This project is something we're really excited about, but as Ben kind of presented, there's a lot of things that need to occur. And so understanding those fundamentals of the real estate, the financial feasibility, that's kind of what we're here to get that feedback from. Where
Lost you, Bob.
Bob, you cut out a bit there. I'm not sure if it's your end or.
Nothing.
Lost him.
Wanted to hear.
Just when he was on a roll.
I think where he was going though is there's a section in the narrative that we submitted to staff and council that it outlines the benefit of this project for the community, and in terms of both providing a new housing type that hasn't been seen here. Our market research team identified that there's only been about 110 multifamily permits in the community in the last, I think it was 5 to 10 years. I'd have to recap on that. And in addition, we'd be talking about $80,000 a year in sales tax revenue that would be mostly eaten up in these retail corridors through here. And Bob, I don't know if you got your stuff working yet, but we feel like that this is a great complementary use in the area here. And we have the market research to back it up that we'd be more than happy to share with you guys further. And I guess going back to the employer comment from earlier, We understand that the employees or the employment is not necessarily directly in McHenry proper, but these people will live and spend their money in McHenry. And that's a benefit to the community that we identified.
You'll find most of your people that take and drive home from work stop at the easiest spot as far as retail on their way home. Not necessarily will they just shop in the city of McHenry. So, you know, I mean, it's a great sales pitch, but that's all it is. It's a sales pitch. You're giving us a lot of sales pitch. I want facts. I want figures. You haven't got that because you can't tell me that the people you're going to rent to are going to spend their money or what percentage of their money they're going to spend in the city of McHenry. You can't. Nobody can. So, I mean, you know, like I said, it might be a good sales pitch, but that's all it is.
So Mayor, I got to direct you here. This is, I assume we're here just for a reaction of the city council. We're not here for a vote. We haven't even started the process yet. So I think it should probably pull back a little bit in a bigger picture and maybe get some other comments and then, you know, move on.
Yep. Thank you.
A great legal maneuver. Thank you, Attorney McCardle.
No, that's not true. Why do you have to say that, Andy? That's not true.
Then why are you bothering?
Because I'm not next to the mayor. I have to give him direction, and we're on Zoom. How else am I supposed to do that?
I'm glad you don't have the floor. Alderman Devine, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm comfortable at this point with this project, but I'm very concerned about the pass through on Almond Lane. I'd like to hear more feedback from the residents over there, and as well as what Alderman Harding was saying about traffic on Blake Boulevard. But other than that, I think we need this for McHenry. I think it'll be good for us. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Any other council members that haven't spoken regarding this item? All right, so I'm going to go ahead.
Mayor, I'm sorry. It's Alderman Santee. I didn't know if you could see us.
I can't see you.
Okay.
You're aiming at your desk.
Okay, real quick. I wanted to just ask real quickly to Ben, what kind of staff size is going to be at that management office?
Generally, we have 2 on-site leasing associates and 2 full-time 24-hour maintenance staff.
Oh, Tuesdays.
Okay, and also, you know, and I'll make the statement, I do want to see this moving to the next step, but I definitely have reservations, concerns about the private drive connection, how that's all going to work out. And then also the other thing is sewer and water impact fees in regards to that reduction request. I think this is something we need to place on staff and see exactly what would be best for the city as a whole when we look at something like that to see where exactly we're at on a project like this. Rentals are definitely needed in our municipality, and I would just like to see that moving forward. I understand they're kind of you guys are crawling before you walk and then run. I appreciate the openness in regards to a town hall meeting or meetings, so we can see what the people in the surrounding area have to say prior to you guys really making some large investments before going towards planning and zoning. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman Santee. Any other council members would like to make a comment? Have any questions? Okay, I'm going to go ahead and ask staff to explain the process of this. I know there's, Joe, go ahead.
Thank you. And I don't want to get into great details of it, but we really came here for 3 things to look at. And it's been mentioned a couple of times now about the connection or lack of a connection to Almond Lane. And I just kind of want to make sure everybody understands if you make Almond Lane into a commercial, Main Street Boulevard, I don't think that, I wouldn't think anybody in Almond Lane would actually want that. And, at some point in time, you've got to transition from what's on Blake Boulevard to Almond Lane. this to me seems like a pretty good idea, a way to break it apart so you don't have, if somebody wants to come from Almond Lane through, fine, let them come through. But you really don't, but I don't think anybody in this neighborhood is going to be heading out Almond Lane. They're going to go ahead to Blake Boulevard. So that's one. The second thing deals with fees as a whole. And school impact fees, for instance, we didn't talk much about tonight at all, but they did give you some instructions or some information about it. When you look at, according to your ordinance, you're gonna generate 36 students out of this 288 apartments. They don't build these at one stretch. I mean, they'll start out with one building at a time, but it's a year to year and a half process from the time you start construction to the time you finish up. So some of these units will be coming on and some of those kids will be coming on, but by the time you're done, with impact, you've got some units that have already been up for a year. So the taxes come in, it's not just tomorrow we're going to suddenly have 36 students there. It doesn't work that way. In addition to that, school impact fees originally were designed with the idea that you were going to make certain there was enough room in the school. In fact, the statute says that it's supposed to be for building new schools or new additions. And I know that your town recently built a new addition out there, but for the high school. But most of the communities in McHenry County right now are way below their projected averages, what they were back in 2008 and 2009. And so between the combination of the time from the first student to the last student showing up and the tax rates, what you're going to find is that over time, this will pay way more in dividends to the school than it's going to take from a toll on the system. So that's one place that some of those fees can come from. Same with water and sewer. I know you've got a projection that says we're going to use this much water and sewer. We just know better from what we're using in other sites. We're not going to use that kind of water and sewer. There ought to be a way that we pay for what we use, and that's what most communities ultimately assess you at, is so that you pay for what you are actually going to need and your demand is. We just have a track record to demonstrate we don't have the demand that you folks have projected. If you add those two things alone, and then you look at fire departments and library districts, there's enough fees here to go around. We ought to be able to reduce what's being asked of us to do that. And that's what we're looking to you from is that's a discussion that we can have. And then, last but not least, if you have another place that you want to put this, that's fine. But, when you look at your community and you realize that no one's built new apartments in your community, or no one's built an apartment complex in your community since probably Kunat Brothers. That's the most recent one I can remember. There may be some others, but and they weren't sprinklered and they aren't sprinklered, and there's a whole bunch of safety things that don't exist today. Would you rather move into a new apartment or one that's 40 years old? I think that your community would like to see this. I know that we're going to pay more taxes. Unlike a residential housing development where you have fewer number of people and are scattered more about, single family homes don't pay nearly the impact fees and the impact on the community that a apartment complex like this will be paying. So it will pay its way, unlike the traditional residential way. So that's all. I just wanted to make certain that there was some, there's some opportunity here from your side as to what you'd like to see here. They'd like to go forward. I think when you see some of the apartment complexes they have up and down, drive up and down Randall Road and 31, and you'll see several of them. And I think they're a good addition to your community, and they've been good neighbors. They manage their properties, unlike some outfits that, come in and build it for somebody else and then walk away. They expect to be here a while, and they'd like to be members of your community. And we hope that we have, at the end of the day, and when we go through the process, the opportunity to become part of your community. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. Alderman Glenn?
Yeah, Joe, I would just want to mention the fact that, they want to come into the community, then they should be supporting the community. You say that, well, you show that I think it was, is it 18 students out of that entire complex that you're talking?
36 students, and that's by your city's formula.
Well, yeah, but I think in the packet, I think it showed 18 from what I can recall.
There's,
And all I'm getting at
18
is,
elementary.
hang on a
18
second.
elementary students,
What I
9
wanted to
junior
say
high,
was,
9 high school.
what I was gonna say is if you're saying that, well, gee, their impact shouldn't be as much, so therefore they shouldn't pay what the rest of the community is paying, because that's basically what you're saying, Joe. Don't shake your head. That's exactly what you're saying. I bought my house, I paid an impact fee. They take and they come into this community, they should be able to pay those same impact fees. Okay? And so, you know, you can sugarcoat it any way you want it. You can twist it any way you want it. The fact is either you support the community or you don't. And if you're not paying the same rates, then you're not supporting the community. And if you don't support it, that means the rest of us have to conjure up more money because of it. That's what it all boils down to, Joe. What they don't pay, the rest of us do. Extra.
They'll pay dramatically more than the rest of you pay when it's all said and done.
No, they should be paying their fair share.
And that's why we're asking for the reduction.
Well, yeah, but Joe, where were they when we built the lines to go out there to service those properties? Okay, now they don't want to pay for that, do they?
It's been empty for all those
They
years.
don't want to pay for that now, Joe, do they?
We can do an argument.
We can argue that, excuse me, but I've got the floor there, Ross, okay? Thank you. And I will give it up to whoever wants to talk now, fine.
Thank you. Ross, go ahead.
I have nothing to say, thank you.
All right, so at this point, I'm going to explain the process. I know there's some residents that are off of Almond Lane. We know that is a concern for many of you. I have had calls and emails as well. And I've seen on social media, of course. But you know, there's a process for this, okay? So we got to go through the process. We don't want everyone to get all pissed off too early here, okay? We want to hear all your concerns. There's a process where it goes through planning and zoning, the hearings. The developer will offer, you know, open conversations at a town hall meeting, which I will be definitely present for that and staff to hear your concerns. So let's not get all our blood pressure up too high. Okay, this is a good development that we'd like in our community, but we want to work with all of you to make sure that you are happy with this development as well. And I meeting with Ben and Bob, they want the same thing. Okay. We don't want to turn away developers right off the first meeting of having a conversation like we have in the past. So I urge everyone, just relax. Let's work with the developer. Let's iron out these details. Staff, we have a great staff here that will work with the fees, and we'll get that information out to council prior to, you know, the process and try to work on that. I appreciate Cody and Ross working with the developer nonstop to make sure we could bring this forward in a timely manner too. So Cody, do you want to go ahead and just kind of explain the process of what will happen from here?
Yeah, so the next step that we're going to be taking, I'm going to be working with the developer and scheduling some town hall meetings with the subdivision. So what we're trying to do is to figure out what the residents in that subdivision particularly want. So if they don't want an access, they don't have to have an access. But at minimum, you know, there are fire safety issues like we had just identified. At minimum, we'll have some type of emergency access. But really, that's what the public engagement is going to be for. And then after that, of course, it's going to go to planning and zoning for the hearing. And then finally to city council for ultimate vote.
Thank you, Cody. Ross, is there anything else you would like to add before we move on?
No, I just think we allow it to go through the processes that are in place. You know, if the developer after this meeting still wants to go through the processes, you know, we're here to guide them along. You know, we do need to hammer out the Almond Lane thing, and I think we can do that with the residents. And then, of course, the fee schedules, we're not going to bring anything back to city council that would be detrimental to the city. So if there is proof that the reduction fees can be done without hurting the city, then we'll definitely bring that back. So basically, it's planning and zoning is the next step, and Ben and your team, we look forward to working with you.
Thank you, Ross. Thank you, Cody. Thank you, everybody, for your time.
All right. Thank you. Moving on to next agenda item is staff reports. Is there any staff reports, Derek?
No, not that I know of, Mayor. Thank you.
Hey, Ben, do you mind getting off the share screen? I don't know who has that, or maybe it's staff. Just so I can see all the people on Zoom here. There you go. Thank you. Mayor's report. I have, well, I guess I'll go ahead and explain. We supplied loans to several businesses that were to be paid by April or May, depending on when they got the loan. From last April, when the COVID hit, that those loans are due up in April. As you know, many businesses are just now starting to open. Many of those businesses that have this loan, I was gonna go ahead and let you guys know I'd like to extend that to another additional 12 months with quarterly payments. That way they have the opportunity to get back to business and not hurt them by having a payment due as a balloon payment here in April when they just started opening their doors. And not knowing what's going to happen here in the next couple of months, they could be closing their doors again. So I would like to relieve some stress from these business owners. And once again, adding additional 12 months, 0%, but quarterly payments. So that way there's a little bit of accountability, but we'll be working with each individual business owner in that process. So I just wanted to give you an update on that and let you know that we'll be reaching out to the businesses as early as tomorrow and letting them know, because I know a lot of them are freaking out right now regarding those loans. If you have any concerns about that, please send me an email or give me a call by tomorrow. If you like to if you have comments right now regarding it, go ahead, Alderman Santee.
Actually, it's a question maybe to Attorney McCardle. Is to extend these things, is this something that has to be done as a motion? And then also, are all of these businesses you're talking about have been closed? Is there any of those that were actually operating while they were receiving the loans, and do we receive payments from those businesses?
So a couple loans were paid back in full already, but those are businesses that were doing okay during the pandemic. But there is businesses that, I mean, all these small businesses, none of them were full open at all. So you got to keep in mind, a lot of them were 25%, some were completely shut down, and some were 50%. And some were no indoor at all. They were just doing carry out, and that does not, as a business owner, that does not pay the bills. That's, David McCarroll, you want to answer the questions regarding the process for this?
Yeah, so when we look back at this about a year ago, we enacted this program without a motion. And so it was done right in March or February or March, I guess, right at the very beginning when the COVID started. We did it under the emergency powers issue. We did it at a city council meeting. I think it happened so quickly we didn't get it on the agenda. That's probably what happened. I'm guessing at that. But anyway, it happened. So we made those loans, and everyone was good with that. So what I did this time is I did a one-page modification that's uniform. Everyone can sign the same document, and it would extend the loans. But if any of you want to bring this back to a city council meeting, we can do that. No problem. It wasn't done the first time. I didn't see the point of doing it second time.
In 2 weeks, just so you know, 2 weeks is a long time for these businesses. So
yeah, that's why we did it quickly.
And once again, a lot of them are freaking out. So 2 weeks is a long time for them to wait. So I just wanted to express that. Alderman Glenn.
You're muted.
Thank you. Could you just send us a copy of what kind of dollars we're talking about as far as what's extended and what we've given out and what we've collected so far, and how many businesses we're talking about?
Yeah, Derek will send a list, or actually, we'll go ahead and have Doug send you that list with the amounts and who's paid and who's not and the amounts. So we'll get that over to you right away.
And
with those statements without the facts, it could sound sometimes a lot more bleaker than it really is. You know, and a lot more concerning than it is. That's why I'd rather just see it and probably have a lot less reservations that way.
Didn't we send this list out originally, Derek?
I'm not sure.
We sent it out a while back.
Okay, and I thought so. I thought you guys in your emails, you should have the complete list.
But we can send it out again.
Put it out with an update to where we're at, and
yep.
You know, within the next 48 hours, I would think any council member that might have a problem with extending it would get back to you then if we get it out in the morning.
Yep, sounds good.
Yep.
Any other concerns? Okay.
Sue's got her hand up.
Alderman Schaefer.
Oh, I was moving on to another topic, but could you also update us on the fundraiser?
Yes.
Splash Pad fundraiser and those participants and all of the people that are involved with that?
Yeah, so we've made a lot of changes on the regarding this fundraiser, regarding Rise Up Foundation. We've had sponsors that we've had to refund, so we've had a lot of money going back and forth and so forth. But I will send you a complete list that we have right now, but it could change in the next couple of weeks. So, but I'll send that as well. Alderman Miller.
I just want to go back to the loans. I think it is imperative that we empower you to reach back to those folks and let them know that, you know, we're not calling those loans due immediately, that we need to assure them that we'll work with them. These businesses are hurting, and we don't need to add extra stress to our businesses that are making financial decisions every day. So while we're going over the nuts and bolts, that's our job and we have to do our responsibility. I think it is imperative though that you have a bit authority to say, hey, you know, nobody's calling your note due. Relax, because we'll work it out. These businesses are struggling. And if you walk in them, that's the first thing they're doing is thanking us for helping them. So, I know speaking for myself, but we don't need to be causing our business owners any more stress. Andy, are you good with that?
Absolutely.
All right.
Problem with that. You know, we're not committing everything totally, but other than the fact that, yeah, we're not looking at it right away. And I don't think anybody's going to have a problem once they look at everything, you know, and see the facts. Like I said, when you say it generally like that, it says, oh my God, you know, nobody's paid their money back and this and that. And we'll probably see that, yeah, there's reasons why, you know, there's still a lot of loans out there.
And we'll work with them. I mean, some businesses probably would want it off their books, and as some have already paid, but many can't do it right now. So,
yeah, but you will contact them then,
yeah, I've been in touch with all of them. Yeah. So we'll definitely reach out and make them feel at ease, because I think that's the biggest thing for them is they're trying to work out their rent. They're working out. I mean, there's a whole bunch of moving parts. And now that they're open, we need them to focus 100% on running their business and not stressing out about easily $5,000, $10,000 that they owe us max, you know. So.
Oh, and they're not only struggling with that, but they're struggling with bringing employees back. They're struggling with getting their shelves restocked. You know, they're putting a lot of cash out right now just to get back up to speed. And you know, having debt over your head as a business owner sucks. So, yeah, they've got a lot on their minds. And as I've had these conversations with some of these small business owners, they're just like, you know, the checkbook's empty and who do you pay first? Right. So we need to be cognizant that that's what's in their heads right now.
Thank you, sir. All right, city council comments. Go ahead, Alderman Glenn.
Yeah, I'd like to just pass on from a constituent as far as the fact that we have at Fox Ridge Park, we have 2 ice skating rinks, one for hockey and one for figure skating. And basically there's only hockey on one. The sign is up there, you know, that it's just for hockey. And the other one, the problem winds up is you've got a lot of the kids that if they're not playing hockey at the time, they're coming out with their hockey skates and horsing around. They're just kind of chipping up the ice. And if you're a figure skater, it makes it a lot rougher. You know, you almost need a lot smoother glass type of ice for figure skating than you do for hockey. And I don't know if we could get a sign up there that you know, no hockey skates on this rink, or maybe Bill Hobson could come up with an idea of what we could do to kind of help alleviate that problem. Because like I said, if you're a true figure skater, and I don't mean an expert, but you like to skate with figure skates, you do need a much smoother glass finish type ice. And it would be nice if there was something that we could do to help out the ice skaters.
All right.
There's no signage up there, but I'll take a look and see what we can do, Alderman Glab.
Thank you.
Buy a Zamboni.
Alderman Miller.
Buy a Zamboni.
I was gonna say that, but
we honestly do have a homemade one, and we just resurfaced that ice last Friday. Last Thursday into Friday, and with the temperatures looking the way they are, we'll probably do them again before this coming weekend, where we just go out and we put a thin layer on top. It certainly significantly impacts the surface positively.
What does a homemade Zamboni look like? Is that like a garden tractor with a hose, or what does that look like?
It's pretty close to that. It's pretty close to that. It does have there's a bar that distributes the water. The water melts on top of the surface, and then you pull it along. It fills in the holes. It's an interesting concoction that we came up with as a department.
I need to spend more time down at Parks and Rec.
We're
Oh,
fine.
you can come to my house. We have a nice rink, and it is very hard to maintain. We do have a squeegee too.
She's got a collection box as you go in to help pay to maintain that, though. You know, right? No.
Right.
Any other city council comments? None? I'm looking for a motion to adjourn. Alderman Glab?
Motion.
Second, Alderman Sanders.
Second.
Thank you. Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderman Glab,
Yes.
Alderman Santi,
Yes.
Alderman Schaefer,
Yes.
Alderman Harding,
Yes.
Alderman Mahivic,
Yes.
Alderman Devine,
Yes.
Alderwoman Miller,
Yes.
Mayor Judd.
Yes. Thank you, council.
Thank you.
Thank you, Steph.